So what we're going to do today is we're going to refactor a website together. So I've built this awesome website. Which the internet? Hey! So I built this amazing website. So do you want to see what Insamo does? You ready? Alright, so to log in, you don't have to type anything. It's just a boolean that takes. So if you submit it, log you in, and you'll see a Mario Kart over there, and you can control the speed with this. Woo! It's amazing. And after 10 seconds, it will prompt you to log out. I'll just say no. And then you can keep scrolling on this. It has an intersection observer that keeps loading new contents, which is very cool. And then after 10 seconds, it asks you to log out, and then you say yes, and you're logged out. So today we're going to look into the source of this website. Is there any questions so far? Yes?
Did you design it?
Yes, I designed it. Is it nice?
Yeah. I like
Yeah. It's really cool. I like it as well. So the color is, yeah, I think I should switch my career to designer. So, all right. So let's look at the source of this project, right? I might not use a mic from now because I need to type. But I'll shout because I'm loud. All right, so this is basically the repository. If you can't hear me, just tell me, okay? And it's a very simple setup. I'm going to check out a new branch.
Nice.
Yeah, so that it doesn't mess with my history. So I'll show you in VS Code because it's my latest editor that I like. I used to use Vim, but now I switched. And I'll show you the package.json because whenever you look at a website, you look at the package. And I'm just using a parcel bundler to bundle. What does that mean? Okay. Is that big enough? Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Cool. So it's just using a parcel bundler to bundle stuff. So I have a def command which calls parcel and
microphone holder.
whoa. That is amazing. So I can sit down. So we have a def script. So let's run that, right? npm run dev. And you will start building our website. Parcel is awesome because you don't have to do anything. And you go to our website. Oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to use this. I'm supposed to go on incognito. Okay, localhost 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. So we have our website set up. So let's look into our source. Index.html, pretty simple. It just loads main.js. So we go to main.js. Main.js, it just loads up the app component from components. Right. In here, we have the header, and we have a footer, and we have a login component which logs you in, and a logged in main component, which is the screen that you see after you logged in. And the login is pretty simple. It's so safe. It just checks the Boolean flag, and then you're logged in. And the first thing that I would like to do is look into this footer component because it's so cool, right? You want to see the code. So the footer, let me close other tags. So the footer is, okay, I don't know why it's kind of hard to navigate. Can I zoom out a little bit? Can you guys still see this? I think larger is better. Okay, never mind. I don't know. Okay, I'll do this. So for the footer component, I have a input box which says insane mode, and then I have the test made by JSON which corresponds to this. And the style are loaded from the data. And what this component do is when it's mounted, it basically fetches a random, well, it generates a random style for the footer, and it generates a random style for the text, and then just put it in. And then it sets up a interval, and for every some millisecond, it will just do the random style again. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a component that render nothing, but abstract this interval logic into it, so that we don't have to deal with the logic of, well, the logic of setting up the interval and tearing it off. Because in the unmounted hook, before destroy, it needs to clear it up, right? So it's very annoying, because when your component builds larger and larger, it's very, very hard to manage. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to build a renderless component. This is what we're going to do. So we'll create a new folder from components called renderless. And then, so this component just uses interval, right? So we're going to build a interval component, right? So let's think about what a interval component will do, right? So, okay, it doesn't have template actually. So let's get rid of that. And let's actually change the whole field, because it doesn't have template, so it doesn't need to use Vue single file component. So let's rename this to interval.js. And all you can do is just export a component option. So it doesn't render anything. So the render function returns null. That's the start. And then if we think about the inputs of the interval, what do you think an interval needs?
Time.
Time, yes! So, so we'll get in the delay, which is the time. And the type of the delay will be a number, and it's required. Cool. So we got the delay. So when this component is mounted, what we want to do is set up the interval. So we will basically do set window.set interval. And then we'll do something here, blah, blah, blah. And use this dot delay. Right. So now we got the ID set up. And before destroy, we're just going to tear it off by using clear interval, this dot ID. Notice that I do not need to put the ID into the data because I don't need it to be reactive. So don't waste computing power. So what should we do in this dot dot dot? What do you think? What do you think an interval component should do? Yes?
Accepts a function.
Accepts a function, that's a good idea, but in Vue, we don't accept, well, we sometimes accept functions, but but a more Vue-ish way to do it would be, so in React, when you do onClick, you pass in a handler, and in Vue, what do you do? Event, yes. So what we can do is we can emit an event from here. So I'll name it take. And, well, it doesn't need to accept any argument. So just like this, as simple as this. Okay, so just like this, we have our interval component set up. So how could this help with our stuff? So let's go back to footer.vue. So let's first import our interval from, what is it, Renderless interval. Is that it? Yeah. And then we'll register our interval. Sorry, still not very good at VS Code. And now we don't need all these. So we can get rid of these, setting up interval. and we can get rid of the before destroy because it's handled in the interval component. And we'll need to mount the interval component anywhere because it doesn't render anything, so it doesn't matter. Interval, and the delay would be, oh no, what's the delay before? I think it is, what is it? Sorry. Oh, it's this dot. Okay, I better do it this way, so that I can have a reference. Interval delay equals what is it? Footer interval ms. What a great name. And when the events tick happens, what do we want to do? We want to call this dot random. Oh, without this dot, sorry. Random footer style, and that's it. And we can copy this line and replace this footer interval with test interval and random test style. And then we can remove all these. Clear interval, we don't need to clear now. And what else? I think that's it. Yeah, so now we have replaced our intervals in mounted hook and before destroy hook with just a simple renderless component. So let's see if it works. I don't know if that means it works. Wait, is it just working as before or what? Okay, let me try removing it. Let's see. Yes! Yes! It's amazing, isn't it? So now, there's a problem. The problem is when you click on the insane mode, wait, it still does? Doesn't make sense. Wait, what? Is it working? Wait, let me check if I don't know why it works, but it works. I guess that's how life works. Okay, anyway, it works. Wait, am I doing it right? It shouldn't work! Okay. Okay, it works. Okay, great! Yay! Here's the next thing we can do. So notice we haven't removed everything from mounted. We still got a random footer style. Otherwise, the initial render, if we remove these lines, the initial render would be blank, which looks ugly. Well, in my sense. So, so I will introduce this immediate prop. Immediate. I hope I spelled it right. And what immediate prop does is just emit a tick before the interval starts. So it takes in a boolean, default to false, and then if this dot immediate, just tick, and then we can come back here, get rid of the whole mounted hook, and then add immediate to it, d8. And then when we refresh, you see how the tick calls immediately. So it's one nice way to do it, and you can compare how much cleaner now my component becomes, and you can focus more on the business logic instead of caring about so much about interval and stuff. So I'll keep on doing these kind of stuff for the rest of the day. I don't know how much time I got, so I'll show you guys a few more cool stuff. So, all right. So let's log in. So here we have a Mario Kart. So you have a choice. So we have Mario Kart, we have a intersection observer, or we have this logout prompt. Which one do you guys want me to refactor? Mario. Okay, great. So so let's look at Mario then. So it's in the, okay, let me commit first, because I'm a good programmer. Refactor, what was that? Interval, footer. Great community message. So let's look at the logged in main. So we can have a look with the Vue inspector. So there's this Mario Kart component, and all the logic is done in this logged in main. You can see it's keep on changing because I'm using request animation frame, and it's just changing. So I'll show you how it works. So this is Mario Kart. I've labeled it for you so that you can see it. So we have an input range from 0 to 100, which controls the V model for the speed of the Mario Kart. And when it is mounted, I have defined this function called recursive request animation frame, because request animation frame just does it once for you, and I want to keep having animation frame. So I have a recursive animation frame. And it returns a cancel animation frame function. And at the before destroy hook, I just call it to destroy it so that it doesn't keep on requesting animation frame. And in the data, I've got 3 different data. You have seen the Mario Kart speed, which controls the speed. And then we have the position of the Mario Kart. And then the last, I have a data which keep track of the last time that the animation frame was called, so that I can calculate the difference, the time elapsed between the 2 frames, and calculate where the Mario Kart should be at this frame. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. So at mounted hook, the request animation frame we call Mario Kart take, which will calculate the millisecond elapsed with performance now, and then it just calculates the elapsed time, and then calculates, do some really complicated rocket science math to find out the position of the Mario Kart. That's it. So what we're going to do is guess which part we're going to make it renderless. Have a guess. Which part? Yes, animation frame. That's correct. Congratulations. 10 points to Gryffindor. So let's call this animation frame component. So let's think about what this component does. So I don't think it accepts any properties, because I think it only needs to keep emitting events, right? Because it's very similar to our previous interval, except it doesn't accept delay, it just keeps firing animation frame event. So we don't need props. So at mounted, what we want to do is we want to call our magic recursive animation frame method, which is here. So we'll just call recursive animation frame. And the handler basically just fire frame. And then before destroy, we'll do cancel. That's it, I think. That's so simple. And then we remove this line. We will actually first import animation frame component, animation frame from Renderless animation frame .vue. Oh no, sorry, it's not a Vue file. And then add the animation frame component into components, and then use it. To use it, we just put it anywhere because it doesn't render anything. Animation frame. Sorry, I actually like. Sorry. I like doing this. And when the frame comes in, we'll just call the handler, which is Mario Kart take. Mario Kart take. Ta-da! I think this will work. Let's make sure. So we can remove this, and we can remove this. Hopefully. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know if that means it worked. Okay, let's refresh and log in again. Okay, that means I think something went wrong. Cannot find module. Oh, sorry, because the path is different. It should be .. Submit. Wait, what? It's moving though. Oh, sorry. Render function is not defined, of course, because it doesn't render anything. So render function returns now. Okay, now it's better, I think. Ta-da! I think it's working. Is there any question? One more minute. One more example. Okay, cool. Any questions so far? Are you guys following what I'm doing? Great. Okay, cool. So, okay. I was afraid that you guys can't follow my... Anyway, cool. Yes. And let's do a little bit more, because you see how we still have some low-level stuff here? The time is not very nice to be living in this component. I feel that because it shouldn't be, it's not part of the component, right? So we don't really care about it. All we care is the position of the card and the speed. So let's abstract this time into the animation frame as well, because it's a common thing, because we don't know when the frame will fire. So we want to know how much time elapsed from the last frame. So let's put this logic into this animation frame as well. So, okay, how do I do this? I guess, well, first of all, if you think about it, we basically want the ms elapsed to be emitted from the event. So, okay, now we got that, and then we get rid of this line, and then we get rid of this line, and then go back to animation frame. The card shouldn't be moving now. Yes. And now I need to find a way to do that logic. So, okay, so, who is laughing? Why is this so funny? Okay, anyway, last frame time. Wait, what? What? Okay, window.performance.now. We'll get, so when it's mounted, we get the current time, and then we request for an animation frame, and then we emit the time elapsed. So basically window.performance.now minus, well, do we need this? We don't need this as in the keyword. Okay, so can't be const, sorry, left. And then we minus it with frame time, and then time now is, sorry, I'm not very elapsed equals time now minus this, and then elapsed. Does it make sense? Yeah. And if we go back and see the card moving, we should be doing it right. Oh yes, great. Why is it moving so fast? Okay, let me refresh. Wait, what? Something went wrong. Yes, thanks. That was intentional to check that you are actually watching my. Correct. You have to set the last frame time again to time now, I guess. Now it's in control. Thanks. So, do I still have time for one more demo? No?
What one is it?
I don't know. Depending. The simplest one. Okay, the simplest one is, I really want to show you guys the intersection observer, but it's not simple, so The simplest one is the login, logout prompt. So it's just a timeout. Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
Intersection of server? Okay, raise your hand if you want intersection of server. Okay, people love me. Okay, so intersection of server is my second actually.
Yeah, I'm convicted.
Thanks. Thanks. Okay, I'm it's hard to type a message. Okay, so let's look at how the intersection observer works currently. So it's the second that we're looking at, lorem ipsum paragraphs. And all it does is let's look at it. Okay, we have some paragraphs and then we just list them out in the p tag. And then we have a lorem trigger, which triggers the fetching more of the paragraphs and append to the array of paragraphs. And that's it. And let's look at our component. We have the refs, and then basically how you use intersection observer, right? If it's intersecting, then fetch more. And then we observe on the lorem trigger. Make sense? Questions? No? Okay. And before destroy, we just disconnect it and destroy it. And in the fetch more lorem method, it just fetches the lorem. Easy, simple stuff. Okay, let's try building that then. I can't spell. Intersection observer. Intersection, just call it intersection. Okay, it's cooler. So, think about the props that we want to take in. What do you think we need? Reference, yes, we need references. So let's take in the references. So we need two references. We need the root references. The root reference and the target reference. So we'll take the root ref. I can't tell you the type yet because it's a trick that I invented. I'm so proud of it. I can't tell you yet. Okay, anyway, target ref. And let me show you something. So at mounted, let's do console log this dot root ref and this dot target ref. Let's see what we get. So copy this intersection. And then just pass in root ref to be refs.lorem's container, and the target refs to be refs.lorem trigger. Questions? Any? No? Make sense? Okay, cool. So let's see what we get for the two refs. We get undefined. Why is that? Because when the intersection is mounted, the refs are not ready, and refs are not reactive as well in Vue. So there's a problem. How do we solve that? And I invented this very amazing technique where you can pass ref. Ready? So the technique is just passing a function that returns the ref. So at mounted hook, we can just call the function. And now we will get the actual DOM. forgot render. No. Okay, cool. So now we get the refs. So what do? We basically look at the code, right? It says this, so we do this. Getting lazy now. So root would become this dot root ref, call it, and then this dot target ref, call it. And when intersection happens, so intersection observer doesn't only observe when elements show up, right? It also observes when elements do not intersect. So that's why we have this is intersecting. And I think it makes sense to have two different events for when it's intersecting or not intersecting. So what I'll do is I'll say if it's intersecting, then I'll emit intersection enter. And if not, then I'll emit intersection leave. I think this makes more sense to like what what intersection observer does. And before destroy, I'll just do this dot observer dot disconnect. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, cool. And then we can remove these. We can remove these. Oh my god, so clean, so nice. And I think that's it. And we need to listen to the event at intersection enter. Oh, I forgot the name. Sorry, fetch more Lauren. Good naming. Save. I hope it works. Oh. So if you want to learn more, if you want to see the last example, you can actually go to this repo, YCM JSON talks, blah blah blah, and the master is when the talk starts, and there's a pull request which contains the solution to the finished version of everything. Ta-da! And you can read it there, and happy coding! Also, start this repository, please. Take out your phone, go to this, start it. Thank you.
Thank you.